take two on this video. Why it's take two is because the first one I shot had absolutely no sound. Anyways, this is going to be the intro to a series that I'm going to put up on YouTube about a tractor that I have. It's a International or Farmall 1066 tractor I purchased about a year ago in Virginia. I bought the tractor to, I had intentions of pulling it. I still have intentions of pulling it, but I bought the tractor so that I could bring it back, fix it up, kind of restore it, pull it stock the first year, and then potentially, or have the potential of building it into something else from there on. What happened is I got the tractor back and had some issues with it. So the videos are going to be about restoring the issues that I have with it, and potentially the build into something else. So it could or could not be a long series. I might break it up into it, but the first video, there's going to be a lot of videos that I have taken to what you're going to see right now previously, and I will let you know that they were older videos showing some of the things that I had done to the tractor or was doing to the tractor. But you will, in this first video, you will see that I'm having some issues with getting one of the wheels off of the rear axle. So if the issues that I'm having will be explained in the video. So if anyone out there is actually watching this video that knows anything about an International 1066 and the wheel arrangements on the how to get the wedges out of the wheels, or the problem that I'm having getting the wedges out of one wheel, and has some suggestions of what I can do over what I have been doing to help remove it, I would sure appreciate you leaving a comment in the comment box and kind of let me know your view on it. So with that being said, here we go. We're going to start out again with this kind of overview videos of the tractor, and then sometime in the future there will be some older videos put in, but I will let you know as that happens. So here we go. I'm going to start shooting some video here of the tractor. I'm trying to get the rear end of this tractor apart, the transmission. I've got there's actually nothing wrong with the transmission. What it is the transmission, the steering, the clutch, the brakes are hydraulically enhanced, or uses a hydraulic fluid out of it to work them. The pump for the hydraulic fluid is inside of the transmission. The transmission actually holds 22.5 gallons, I think it is, of hydraulic transmission fluid. So what I'm having an issue with is sometimes when I was driving the tractor, you would get up and start it up, and it wouldn't be working. Now, there's a long story behind the tractor. I got the tractor from a farm down in Virginia and hauled it back. When loaded it on the farm down in Virginia, it worked fine. When I actually got it back, I couldn't get the transmission to engage into a gear. You would put it in the gear and it just wouldn't work. So I started doing some research on it, and one of the things that they said was about well, there was a number of things, but the thing that made the most sense to me was the hydraulic pump inside of the transmission. Because at the same time that the transmission wouldn't engage in gear, I also noticed that the steering wouldn't work. So what I did was, one of the things that they said to do was to check the filter in it. So I actually, before I replaced the filter, I got it, went out one day and just started it up. Now, it was still on the trailer from when I had hauled it back from Virginia. Went out one day and started it up, and the thing just worked fine. Power steering started working. The transmission started working. So I got it off of the trailer, brought it into the shop, started to clean it up, ran it, moved it outside, power washed it, put it back in the shop. Did this probably 3 or 4 times, and then the transmission started acting up again. So that's when the first thing that I did was change the filter in the transmission for the transmission hydraulic fluid, and it really was dirty. I did that. The thing worked fine for a couple of days, and then it started acting up again. So another thing that they said to do was to overfill the transmission, because the hydraulic pump inside of the transmission might be sucking air through one of the O-rings. So I overfilled it. It worked fine for a couple of days again, and then I started having issues with it again. So at that point in time, I was going to, what I'm planning on doing is just, what I was planning on doing the first year was to use this tractor to pull, and I was going to do it stock. So what I was going to do was kind of rebuild it a little bit, get a new clutch into it if it needed it, and pull it stock the first year. Well, I started pulling it apart and then got involved in some other things, other projects that I was doing, and it kind of got put on hold. Now, one of the reasons it kind of got put on hold is to make access to the transmission, and as you can see by the oil on the ground, there was a couple of leaks on the seals. So I needed to get the rear tires wheels off. And how you do that is they are held onto the axles by these wedges. And there's a wedge removal tool that you use to get them. You loosen the wedge up first with this bolt on it, and what will happen is it will force one of the wedges out. And then you put this wedge removal tool around it, and supposedly you're just supposed to be cranked down on this wedge removal tool, and it forces one wedge back against the other wedge to remove it off of the axle. Well, in the manual they said it can be up to 600 pounds of torque to get the wedge to remove. Now, I don't think these rear wheels have ever actually been off of the tractor before, because the first one I had kind of no issues with it compared to the second one. The first one, when I split the wedges apart, the outside wedge is the one that came out. So the outside wedge actually pulled out towards the outside of the axle. Then you can put this wedge removal tool over it. And I had a guy that's very familiar with this style of tractor. He says you just got to take a sledgehammer and beat it and shock that, kind of beat it and shock that other wedge loose. And that's what I did. Now, when I say I did that, I torqued it to where I have a 4-foot breaker bar, 3/4 inch breaker bar, 4 foot long. And I would tighten that as much as possible, throw penetrating oil in there, and beat on it with a sludge and a sledgehammer. And it probably took me a good week after to get that second wedge to break free. Now, when I say a week, I would tighten it, throw penetrating oil on it, beat on it for a little while, a couple of times a day, and it probably, now again, when I say a couple of times a day, I would smack it, see if it broke loose by pulling on the breaker bar, and it hadn't. So I would throw more penetrating oil on it, hit it a couple of more times, try and torque it down a little bit, let it set, maybe do that again at the end of the day. Then some days maybe I wouldn't even do it. But it probably took a week to do it. On this wheel, what has happened, when I loosened the wedges, the inside wedge is the one that loosened and it came out. And what my issue is right now is you can't really get good access to smack that wedge removal tool on the inside because there's no free room to move. And on that other one, when I say I hit it with a sledgehammer, I mean I actually wound up and hit it with a sledgehammer hard. And it took a long time. Now on this one, I can't get access to hit it on the inside with a sledgehammer. All you're doing is really just kind of tapping it. And this thing, I've probably been working on this thing for a couple of months now. Now when I say working on it, some weeks I don't even do anything with it. You know, I'll go over and maybe pull on the wrench a little bit and try it. I've tried beating on it as best I can from the backside, but I can't. So what I ended up doing is resorting to this tactic of, since I can't beat on the wedge removal tool in here because there's no really good access, what I did is got the wedge removal tool tight up against it, and then kind of pried it in there with a piece of steel, like, back against the axle. So when I come out here and try and pull this, it doesn't allow that this wedge removal tool will actually flex after you put enough torque on it. Pretty hard to believe because it's 1.25 inches thick, but that thing will flex. So what I've done is wedged the tool in against the axle so that it can't move. And I'm out here trying to pull on this, and again putting penetrating oil in there. And again, there's weeks that go by that I don't do anything on it because I've been involved in other projects, but it's going to come up to the time of when we're going to be needing to get this thing done. So this video is kind of an explanation of this tractor. I split it. It's split apart. I pulled the clutch out thinking, or was kind of planning on replacing the clutch in it, and doing some other things, getting it cleaned up, probably getting it blasted, repainting it, and that, like I said, pulling it stock the first year just for because I wanted to pull it stock. And then there's a potential for building it into something else the following years. But I had planned on doing it. Video is being shot in October. I had planned on pulling it stock this year, but again, got involved in other projects, and this kind of got put on the back burner. Okay, so I kind of got interrupted there, but anyways, that's kind of the gist of this tractor. I'm probably going to be installing some videos that I took actually when I first started making videos, and some of them the sound is terrible, and I will explain that to you if I install any of them videos. When I first got the tractor, me trying to clean it up and do some work on it when I first got it. So if I do put those videos into the series, I will explain the sound quality if any of them do have issues with the sound quality. Kind of a stupid bonehead move on my part, but I had never used a GoPro before, and didn't realize that when the GoPro was shipped, it was shipped with the waterproof housing on it, which doesn't really allow good sound quality through it. You got to put the other housing on it. But anyways, I'll shoot it. Probably at some point in time too, I'm going to put the videos up. I actually made some videos of me building this gantry crane, and I will do that. So there's going to be a bunch of different series videos coming, but I'll explain that.